Good idea. Okay, Dan Singjoy, you have permission to record, and Felix, you now have it too. Okay, yeah, let me do a little bit of screen share here. So if you don't know, we have initiated a series of weekly meetings in the community. If you go to gofractally.com, one of the pin posts right now is new weekly meetings for the entire GoFractally community. And these meetings are hosted in different spaces in the community. It's very organized around the Genesis fractal. If you read this article, you'll get an idea of that. On Mondays, we have Unpacking More Equal Animals. And there's a description for that. The format is evolving. We're more or less focusing on a chapter of the book each week. Some of the chapters are longer than others, so we may, extend 2 or 3 weeks on a particular chapter. Depends on how complicated it is and how much interest there is. So we're in the beginning. We went through some of the intro stuff, and we're pretty much still on the topic of tyranny of the status quo, if I'm not mistaken. Learning ways to gain respect. This is based on the Fractally framework, which is previously there was a course in here named the Fractally white paper, and I renamed it to Fractally framework because that's really what it is, right? And the white paper has some things in it that have been expanded on, some things that maybe have been changed and updated. So hopefully this course, as more work gets put into it, and these are opportunities for anyone here to contribute, by the way, will be the most complete, up-to-date version of the Fractally framework as we progress with that. So inside of the More Equal Animals course is where this event lives. Inside of the Fractally framework space or course is where learning ways to gain respect lives. And then we have 2 meetings that are based on the mission of our Genesis fractal. So we have growing awareness and adoption on Wednesdays. And all of these meetings, by the way, are at 2 p.m. EST right now, Eastern Standard Time. And then we've got building the next gen of DAO. So this one's more focused on the tech, and not just the hardware, software aspect of the tech, but the techniques, the technical information, as well as all the components of the technology and the technicians themselves. So to me, that when I think of tech, that's what I think of. And then on Fridays, we have a meeting for people who are already or they want to focus on establishing a fractal DAO. And this is hosted in another course that was renamed from, I think it was Future Fractal Founders, and now we're just calling it Fractal Foundations, which is pretty nice. There's kind of a sequence here, which is what we discuss a lot in this Friday meeting. And I'm backlogged on posting the recordings for all these meetings. Most of them have been recorded the last couple of weeks that we've been running them. And the intention right now is with participation to just evolve the format, make sure that the meeting itself and the recording and any clips are valuable and worthwhile. And once we get to that phase where it feels like it's pretty dialed in, then I think we'll maybe take it to the next level and try to go beyond. Right now, we're just engaging people who are already being drawn to go fractally, whether they're new or whether they're existing members. But I think the expectation is that these programs can start to live out there in a way where we're bringing in people as a result of some of these. We're for example, if we're live streaming or if we're publishing content on social media in the appropriate way related to unpacking more equal animals, this could, if it's on YouTube, for example, and it's done correctly, somebody could find a video or a clip, and they could wind up, getting involved in what we're doing as a result of that. So it's kind of for me, it's like a 2-phase approach. So these are the meetings, and many of the members have been showing up the last week or so. We've been getting participation. I think with each week, participation will increase. And if you got new people, maybe this is a good opportunity to refer them and get to know more of the members in the community and stuff like that. I don't know if anyone else wants to share regarding these meetings. Could be feedback about what direction you think we should go with one particular meeting, or it could be a little bit about your experience. But I think we have a moment if anyone wants to mention that. Okay, Gregory, I see your hand there. It looks like we have another topic after this, by the way.
Yeah. So what I like about these meetings is that not only are we able to practice fractal governance, these meetings help us understand how multifaceted it is. There's a mathematical component or several mathematical components as to how and why this works.
I'll lead in with the meetings that Josh is holding are extremely important because it helps us, discussing things in person, face to face, or with one another, helps us understand better. And I have read Dan's book, More Equal Animals, dozens of times, and with students, and I always learn something new. The more I think about it, the more I noodle on it. And as Gregory said, there's also the mathematical piece. So I think Josh's meetings are key to be able to try to tease out some of these very important concepts that none of us understand. Dan Larimer has discovered something very special and very important. And it was, who knows where that came from. That was, that insight does not happen all the time. And so none of us know really how it's supposed to work. We know how it has worked. So what Gregory is referring to is, a couple of weeks ago, Dan asked for, I wonder if our meetings are truly random because I keep seeing people more often than not. And could someone help me understand this? And so I took it upon myself to do an analysis. Last week, Felix Ruiz asked for an update on my analysis, and I incorrectly threw shade at Zoom, saying I was suspicious of the randomization algorithm. That came from my not understanding our fractally process. So I have been very deep in the analysis for the last couple of weeks. And what I saw was elements of, I originally measured something non-random, but that was because of my own misunderstanding of how fractals actually work in practice. So I now believe, to a high degree of at the 95% confidence level for you mathematicians, that Zoom is very fair in the randomization process, or is very random in the randomization process. Let me say it that way. But they're not optimal, or they may not be fair in the randomization process. And this is a very nuanced idea. This was a discovery that I had in my personal, I discovered it. I talked through it with Gregory last week, and now I have a better understanding of it. So I owe all of you a detailed article about this and propose some solutions to how to go forward. I don't want to take the rest of the meeting time here. What I wanted to do was say there's a new discovery we have based on our data set that we've had for the past 28 weeks. And Zoom has been very fair in their breakout room assignments, and Josh has been doing a great job in randomizing us. But we as a fractal may not have tuned ourselves into something that is optimally fair. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll take any questions if you want, but I don't want to take the meeting from other topics that you may want to discuss.
All right, we've got Eric and we've got Marco with hands up. I guess just does either one of you want to continue the topic or have a question for Matt before we move on to anything else?
No, I'm just talking about the meetings we're having.
Okay, Marco, is your topic related to what Matt's talking about?
No, just the comment on the meetings that they feel a bit like the early working groups of the ENF.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. They are kind of like working groups a little bit at the moment. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Well, the key thing about those meetings is we're not just exploring the topics, which we are and learning more. We're actually lining them up in a sequence with the future users in mind, not just the current users. So the idea is somebody coming in starts with a question of, is this even for me? Is this a fit? What is the value that I get out of this whole fractally thing? And from there, it moves on to saying, well, what would I need to get this value? If this is the value and it's a fit for me, what would I need to get it? And then, okay, if I understand what I need to get, how do I plan for that? How do I get ready? How do I get other people to do adoption? And then it moves on to, okay, now I need to put it in. How do I integrate Matt's dashboard into mine. How do I use this? How do we do that? And the idea is then that they can start fractals, the fractals can scale and operate better, and then even collaborate with other fractals. So it also takes this idea of moving people from unaware of this whole thing to aware, to, okay, I'm interested in it. Okay, I'm ready to take action. I trust you. I pulled the trigger. I'm hopeful. Okay, now I'm successful. Now I'm thrilled and ecstatic. So in addition to doing this course, we're actually building the handbook how to bring people and support them through the whole process while we're doing those courses. It's really building the fractal operating system handbook from first contact to being successful.
Thank you, Eric. Go ahead, Paul.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing morning. I just wanted to piggyback on that, being that this is my second Saturday, so I'm a recent member, and I really enjoyed the opportunity to connect with people during the week. It was really helpful to supplement my kind of deep dive with videos and reading and what I am trying to do with getting my head around a new concept like this that I think we all have been trying to strive for for many years here in the in the blockchain crypto world. So yeah, it's been great for me to like connect with somebody visually and in smaller groups. I think you just can't say enough about that. So it's wonderful to be part of the group, and I'm very thankful and appreciative, and want to say that it feels like it's working.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. It really was a pleasure connecting with you, and looking forward to seeing you at some of those other events. It's great to get your feedback because you are pretty new and fresh to this, and you're kind of like we spoke about in that particular meeting. You're kind of a perfect candidate, for the Genesis Fractal and what we're doing here. So just that kind of feedback is pretty invaluable. A lot of us here might consider ourselves veterans of, even though we're so early in this process. We've been here for a while, so it's great to get your fresh perspective, and appreciate you being willing to share it. Also, Paul's doing some pretty cool things. If you get into a room with him, maybe you'll learn more about what he's up to. Okay. Oh, you got your hand up again, Paul?
Actually, I was trying to take it down, so I lower hand. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought it was still up there, so I wanted to take it down, but it probably drops by itself, maybe.
Yeah. Also, I mentioned in the chat, I want to recognize Eric for taking the responsibility of co-hosting the Monday and Friday events, and we're looking for more co-hosts. I think it'd be nice if each group had maybe besides myself, 2 other people that are dedicated. And Eric has been providing a lot of thought process to, especially the sequence, the discovery and the onboarding sequence, and the what someone would need to know to decide that forming a fractal makes sense for anyone to do, and how, and then maybe the next decision, how would I decide if I want to be a part of forming a fractal, and what do I need to do, and the kind of things that he mentioned. So I think that's the kind of stuff, the questions we need to be asking, and the thought process we need to be going through in these early stages. This is the kind of stuff that the community can very easily contribute to, regardless of the software, and regardless of what the Fractally team is focused on with their team's roadmap. Okay, any other comments or questions, or another topic here? I see a comment from Carlos in the chat here. I don't know if anyone can address this, but why not use Zoom on our phone and another device to run the Fractally prototype UI so randomness issue is solved?
I can take that, Josh.
Go ahead, Matt.
I was just typing a response to you, so I'll just address the group here. That's a great idea, but what we discovered with this issue is so new that that's not in the Fractally prototype. So no one addresses this issue yet. And what we think we need to do is we need to, me and maybe Gregory or a few others, we need to propose how we want to be randomized, and then the group or probably the council will decide. So probably what will happen is I'll officially propose something that I think is on how we want to change our randomization process, and then the council will vote up or down on my change, and then that will probably be integrated into the Fractally prototype. I'm guessing that's how it will work. So it's not just a simple fix of using two apps, because the Fractally app doesn't, this is so new and hot off the press. It's not capable of addressing this yet.
Yeah, thanks for covering that, Matt. Good question, Carlos. He said, all right, thanks. Cool. Gregory just put a reminder in the chat. If you guys could, if you haven't already, just make sure you add your Zoom username to your Zoom name here. It makes it a lot easier to reference when we're in our breakout rooms and stuff. So appreciate if we all get in the habit of doing that. And thank you, Gregory, for the reminder. Okay, we've got a little bit of time still. I guess less than 25 minutes before we get into our breakout rooms. Is there something else you guys would like to discuss? Matt, I see you have your hand up, and Eric as well. Go ahead.
Thanks, Josh. So a new topic. So Gregory and I discovered in the tally sheet last week, where we're all of us who are trying to do the accounting for the weekly respect distribution. We're human smart contracts, right? We don't have code that can enforce it yet, can enforce the algorithms yet. And so we do this by hand, and we're humans and we make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes, and Gregory, Josh, we all do when we find each other's mistakes, and we correct them as soon as we find them. And one of the things that you all can help with is to make sure you sign the contributor agreement. There's several that have not. And if you don't, like right now, we can be squishy and forgiving, and once you sign it, we can go back and retroactively adjust your respect distribution, and just know that affects everyone else. Once somebody signs the agreement, that will have cascading effects on everybody else. And so we can be forgiving up until the platform launches, but it's really different. If you can, after the platform launches, we can't help you, right? So we're trying to do everything we can to try to, as soon as if you'll sign that Fractally agreement, we'll go back and backdate your respect for you, but we can't help you after the platform launches, which will probably be soon. So please take care of that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Matt. And I put that in the chat. If anyone here still needs to sign that, it's always good to have that link handy. And if we could all just be vigilant and checking our rooms, and especially when we see a new person, and if you're able to just verify if they've signed it or not, that can be helpful. If they haven't signed it, then you may want to ask them to leave, or at the very least, just don't give them the highest allocation of respect that week. It's up to you what you want to do, but that would be a suggestion. Go ahead, Eric.
I guess this is a question about randomization and the prototype or the MVP product. I'm not quite sure why the interest in Zoom randomization. I thought that the Fractally product would have its own random suite of tools. So, and I guess just the timing of that. One thing that I noticed just onboarding people is it's going to be absolutely paramount to have that to do something on scale.
Sure, I can take that. So today, while we operate the Genesis Fractal on a more manual basis, through Zoom, through executing the automatic breakout session assignments, there are assumptions that people could make with regards to, is it truly random? Who's tested this? So generally, even when using third-party software, open source or otherwise, individuals go and test that assessment. So I'm grateful that Matt went through and tested the assessment on the randomness. As far as the Fractally app, when that gets released, we certainly want to ensure that we have a random assignment of rooms. You know, we're in control of that source code, and as such, we see that assignments are random. And even then, we encourage the community to help us, provide us feedback, test our app, ensure that what we say is happening in the app, look at the source code, etc. This is why open source is so powerful, because it allows a community to audit, if you will. A word with regards to Matt's dashboard. Matt monitors, adds, updates data in his dashboard independently from the tally sheet, and it has been a very good tool to audit the data and ensure that we've arrived at the same conclusion, even though we're collecting our data and we have our own code. In essence, I'm using a Google Sheet, and Matt's using actual script, PHP script, in order to collect and manage the data. Each has its own benefits. So this is where we rely on the community. And just to re-echo what Matt said, you know, check the data, check what's being published, check the, you know, make sure that, you know, what's being done is to your expectations, if you will. When we launched the app, a lot of these things that we're stumbling across, like signing the agreement, etc., will be built in the app. There'll be a checkbox and a link to the agreement. You can link to it. You won't be able to join unless you actually check the checkbox. Today, people could go in the Zoom link without checking the checkbox. And so, hence on the tally sheet, we go and we check, we put an NS, not signed, next to your name until you do sign. We encourage everyone to execute that signature up front. But some people have missed it for one reason or another. So I hope that answers your question. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Okay, if anyone's new and you don't have a Hive account, you haven't signed that contributor agreement, and you maybe don't even know what to do in the meeting today, just let me know here in the Zoom chat. You can send me a private message if you want. And we still have about 15 minutes. I think we could get you squared away if we need to. Now that a few more people have jumped on, one more thing I want to mention is this week we're going to be doing things a little bit differently for round 2. So normally we ask everyone who's not moving on to remove themselves from the room. This week, we're going to finally throw out a different Zoom link for round 2. And I've tested it and it works, so it should not be a problem. So if you're not moving on, you can just stay in this Zoom room. I'll give someone host permissions. I'm using 2 Zoom accounts to do this. So if necessary, I could just remain host here. But to move on to round 2, you'll need to get that Zoom link. I'll put it in the Zoom chat. You just click on it, and then you'll leave this meeting and join that one, and it works pretty good. So just a heads up, that's what we're going to be doing, and I'll mention that during the intermission. That should be a little bit smoother process. So I'll be interested to get your feedback after we do that today. And shout out to Jorge for kindly pressuring me to make sure we had a solution. That's the kind of stuff you can do in the weekly meetings. Okay, about 15 minutes left. Any, oh, by the way, we're talking in the chat here about, Jorge says, let's organize an international fractal meeting in the Caribbean beaches, by sometime next year, which is actually something I've been thinking about. The reason I initiated those events was because how you bring a community to life is through events. And if just my personal perspective, if you look at the way that the elite class operates, the various organizations, associations, and like societies and stuff that they're a part of, they all have a system of events, usually at least 4 events a year, typically lined up with like the business quarters and the season changes, the solstice and the equinox events. And it's like it's literally like an energetic system, the way that humans work, gathering together with like-minded people. And so they basically go to these events. They might exchange information, but they're definitely having fun together, and it's energizing. And then they go back to their separate locations and do their thing, and then they come together and gather again. And so we can do that to some degree virtual, but it's just not quite the same as doing it in person. So getting something like that going, I think, would be a pretty fascinating contribution. Our group's not that large yet, but we'll see how it is, maybe another 6 months from now. Anyone have any thoughts or comments on that?
Sounds like a fun excursion.
I think you, Joshua, hit on, a deeper value that we, when we say, oh, let's go on vacation or let's have some fun. And I think that totally resonates with me when you say it's so much more than that, right? It really is how a team or, a group of people become more powerful in their aspirations. I mean, I think there's just zero doubt about that. So I would say that as an eco-psychology, I got my mental health master's degree with a focus on eco-psychology, and I think it just like kind of translates right into kind of an adventure-based counseling or emotional mental wellness, empowerment, getting together, especially outside, and just I think there's just great value and utility from that. So I think we often think like we're cheating or like taking a break or it's a vacation or whatever, but if we don't prioritize these things, I mean, what's the point of all of it? So I'm 100% in agreement with you on that.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Jorge, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, guys, thank you. I just came from playing basketball, so I didn't come today. Don't blame me for that. So I wanted to say that maybe the Spanish-speaking fractal, if we are consolidated enough, maybe by December next year, the time in which the United States and Europe are having winter, we can, well, I personally have some contacts in Cartagena, in the beaches of Colombia, nice place, nice hotels. So we could organize some meeting there if we can program it, not for this December, but for December next year, provided that the Spanish-speaking fractal is consolidated enough and we can organize the logistics. Thank you.
All right, sounds like a big contribution in the making. People are kind of stimulated by this idea in the chat here. All right, we're getting close to breakout room time. I'd say we got about 10 minutes more discussion, and then we'll dive in. Once again, if anyone new is joining, if you feel like you need a little bit of assistance, let us know. I guess I'll post the agenda into the chat in case there is someone new here. Also, if you want to introduce yourself, if this is like your first meeting or something, feel free to raise your hand. So I'm putting a Google document in the chat right now. This goes into some detail about our process. The only thing that's probably not relevant today is the information that I mentioned about how we're going to transition from round to round. We won't be using that process today. We'll be using a new one. Go ahead, James.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself. So yeah, I'm brand new here. This is my first meeting. I'm actually Paul Travis's brother, so he's the one that brought Fractally to my attention. And just want to say I'm excited to be here, and I really love the vision behind this, the whole decentralized governance. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, I think, here that we're doing, and I'm just really excited and pumped to be here. So I appreciate you all. Thank you. It's good to meet you all.
Yeah, thank you, James. Great. Thanks for saying hello. And I'm already becoming very fond of Paul. So you know, if you're his brother, you guys must be a pretty great dynamic duo there. Looking forward to get to know you more.
Thank you. Same here. Appreciate it.
Okay, Marco has a question. Has a decision been made on the interim consensus process? Maybe someone else wants to speak to this, but to my knowledge, we haven't made a proposal because it's being refined based on the feedback from everyone. But the intention, I think, is to submit that and update our interim process, which we'll need in order for Matt to do his proposal. You're muted, Gregory.
Correct. We're not quite there yet. We are assessing all the feedback. But not much more to add right now.
James, did you have another comment? Just saw your hand was still up there. All right. Well, that was a good question, Marco. I think other people might have been asking that.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why I was showing my hand up.
All good, all good. Would anyone from the Fractally team like to mention any intuitive feelings on how things are going with the roadmap and some of the items that people are anticipating? How are you feeling about the progress and that kind of stuff? Pascal says, when chain.
I'll provide some insight. So we're close. I can't promise by the comment that we had end of summer, but we're really close. So I encourage everyone to be a little more patient while we get the fine tuning in place here. And the team is really excited about this. We've come a long way. There's been a fair amount of dialogue, discussion, and nose to the grindstone effort in this. And from what I've seen so far, wow, it's going to be really great. So just hang in there, everyone. We're not too far off now.
Yeah, it feels good to get the reassurance. A lot of stuff is coming forward. So it's been great to have the opportunity to figure out how to contribute, you know, even pre-software, but even once we do have some elements of software, there's still so much contribution that can be done regardless of the software. I think we've been very lucky to be able to experiment without the software in hindsight. Igor.
Hello, everyone. I very in doubt if it's appropriate to share because it's still very early in progress what I'm working on. It's you can say consensus-driven AI, and I prepared small demo. It's a Telegram bot where you can send what you want to see, and it will generate images for it. And the idea is then that people voting together and direct this AI through fractal process to generate next images. So that's what I'm working on to gamify fractal process in this way. So if it's appropriate, I can share link at this moment just to try this bot for fun, who wants to.
Yeah, go ahead, Igor, drop the link in the chat. That's cool, man.
It's very early in progress. It's even still with Russian description, and still voting is not functional, but just for fun, you can already generate images. Thanks.
All right, looks like Igor put the link in the chat there, the Telegram link. Thanks for mentioning. That is another, and I like how you briefly mentioned, something that you're working on. That's another thing we can use this time for, right? Which members sometimes do, especially when it's relevant to the conversation. But if you want to share things that you're working on when we have dead air, like we have a couple times today, that's to me, I think that's appropriate during these meetings. Go ahead, Jorge.
Yeah, one thing we're doing at the Spanish Fractal is during this pre-meeting time, we are opening a window of 15 minutes so that any entrepreneur, any person who has any idea can reserve that time and space to promote his idea, or it's like a marketing space available for everyone to do. So maybe that could be done here too. I mean, any member of the community.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Jorge, and shout out to you guys for getting that Spanish speaking fractal rocking. Getting a hand clap over there from Paul. Cool. Go ahead, Dan.
Cool. Thanks, Joshua, and thanks everybody. I figured I'd share a couple of things. So one, I had mean to share it in the Fractally group, but with the Eden Fractal, we've been working on interim consensus processes, and there's 2 current proposals that might be helpful for the Genesis Fractal or Fractally team that I'll share in the chat. One that Tadas made, which is Tadas shared very helpful feedback about Dan Larimer's recent proposal, and it's kind of based off of the most recent addendum that Dan Larimer proposed to the interim consensus process, and I made one called votes, whereby people in fractals can basically tokenize a new token called votes to make community decisions. So I just shared some links in the chat there in case anybody wants to check it out. There's also a Google Docs version of both these proposals too, in case you want to make any comments or anything like that. And then there's more going on in the Eden Discord. And then also, well, I'd be happy to speak to any of that if anybody has any questions or comments about that. And then also, I just want to say thanks to Joshua as well for hosting these as always, but also about making the comment in the Fractally Telegram chat about asking whether it should be like more a looser moderation policy. I think that's generally a good idea. Like a lot of things like this, I'm not sure if I should post it. Like I think I should. I think it's the best of the community, but because there's previously so many rules with the moderation, I just wasn't sure. So I kind of put an obstacle in between. So I do think that I mean, I'd be interested to talk about that more in the future. I mean to reach out to you, but thank you for opening the discussion. I think it's generally a good idea.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. All right, we're just about at the time now. We got a few people jumping on at the last minute. Let me adjust the Zoom settings here.
Please ensure that your Hive name appears after your Zoom name. For some people, I don't see that, so just make sure to do that.
All right. Here we go. I'm going to create the rooms and open them up. So you'll have 45 minutes. There's a timer, and then there's going to be a 60-second delay and come on back to the main meeting room for our intermission and transition to round 2. If you're moving on to round 2, I hope you guys have a great time, and we'll see you back here in just a little while.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Great to meet with you all again.
Likewise. I got a new Zoom plugin, but I have not tried it, so I'm not going to mess with that now. I thought it would be a lot easier. Oh, there it goes. Thought it'd be a lot easier to use than it was, but it's not.
Okay.
Howdy. Oh, we got Paul in our room too. Cool. Got the new guy. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome, Paul. I think
All right,
Paul
as
is
always,
muted, by the way.
I'm happy to run the timer. 3 minutes
sorry,
apiece.
adjusting my volume here and getting everything right. I'm talking to myself here. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good.
By the way, before we keep
All right,
going, I'll just say that I'm also recording and planning to share it on YouTube at some point.
Great. All right, let's get started. Paul, would you like to go first in honor of being new?
Sure, I'd love to. So I have been super excited about Fractally. So I've watched a bunch of video content, really on an educational level. I mean, I did onboard my brother, but I really need more understanding to kind of reach out to other people. But learned a lot from the videos with Dan Larimer's descriptions, and I met with some Fractally community members for support with what I'm working on, and went to one of the meetings on Wednesday for Fractally, and really just in my education phase, you know. So although, as I said, James did join, and so we were working on understanding the friction points and just learning together. He's a little more technically savvy than I am, so it was helpful to get him on board and teach each other. So really education stage, I'm super thrilled to start a Fractal, and I think Dwayne took the time to meet with me, and he's going to try to guide the beginning of that. I'm thrilled, and I guess that's about what I've been involved with as far as trying to move things forward with my involvement with Fractally.
All right, great.
I don't know if I should share like what my why this is intriguing to me as a founder and executive director of my program, but I'm happy to share that if you all like. But I don't know if it pertains to getting respect as far as like Fractally goes.
I would, why don't we suggest holding that till later? We'll deal with respect, allocation, and consensus report, and then we should have plenty of time to discuss, and I would love to hear the story.
Beautiful.
All right, who'd you like to pass the mic to? Although you're on a phone, that might be hard to determine.
I see, how about Felix?
All right, thank you, Paul. You guys can hear me, I'm assuming?
Yep.
All
right, cool. Oh no. I'm gonna can I get somebody else to go? I guess my OBS, I gotta fix it really quick so I can present.
Sure. Who do you want to go next?
Dan, you're next on my screen if you want to go.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I just made sure that my OBS was working just like a moment ago. So I've been in that situation many times before. I'll go. It could take me closer to like 4 minutes. I'll try to go quickly and feel free to jump in, but I'll be as quick as possible. So this is contributions to what I'm doing to help Fractally and Fractal Governance Genesis Fractal. So for one thing, I definitely encourage everybody to join these meetings. I met Paul there this week, and I joined 4 of these meetings in the past week that Joshua has been hosting every weekday at 18 UTC. They've been really helpful and really interesting, great conversations. Where Josh is recording them and planning to share them at some point. Last week, I sent 1,000 EOS each to James Mart and Vlad Ramstov for retroactive public goods funding for building DAO tooling for Fractally with Eden Fractal on EOS. That was last week, but I made this post this week and I shared it in a bunch of places. I also pinned it at the top of my profile. So when people go to my Twitter profile, they see Fractally and Eden Fractal and all sorts of things like that. This is from Chief Delegate Funding. And then there's also another tweet here following Eden Creators for updates to help everyone cooperate, Fractally make the best experience possible. And Eden Creators has more content there. And then also Patrick made another tweet where he donated 450 EOS to Das and Jorge for helpful talks and or helpful writing and so forth about Fractally and Eden Fractal. I shared this in a bunch of different EOS and Eden related Telegram chats, and it got some decent engagement, over 1,400 impressions and engagements and so forth. And then I also hosted the Eden Fractal Week 15 meeting. We played around with some fun filters as well during that. And as always, I share presentations like these about Fractally and encouraging people to join the events. And then I also post the videos on edenfractal.com/videos from Eden Creators channel, and also Felix's channel too. We both put up the videos. So yeah, and I also participated in the 13th Alien Worlds Fractal meeting, where again, I shared presentations and I promoted Fractal governance to people. And then I also did an interview with Dwayne. We're starting an interview series where we interview people who are running for counselor positions in Alien Worlds and promoting Fractally there. A big contribution I made this week was updating a new page for interim consensus processes, where I kind of provide a general overview of interim consensus processes for Fractally and the team process and so forth, and then active proposals for both the Eden Fractal and Genesis Fractal, and withdrawn proposals, and organizing with timestamps and so forth, so people can learn about all the different kinds of consensus processes. And this week I made a proposal for something called votes, whereby we tokenize something called Eden Votes, where people can vote directly with tokens on an app called Consortium rather than there being a council. And I put a lot of work into just defining how all these work with all sorts of different like the different stipulations and so forth. There's also a Google document where you can read it in a bit cleaner format, and people like Das and James Mart and Vlad have been commenting and sharing some ideas that I'm going to be getting back to soon as well. I also wrote another article about like what exactly it rules over, or what the jurisdiction of these rules are, and then some feedback onto Das's proposal as well, because he also has a proposal, and there's been lots of comments. I shared this in the Eden Discord and asked everybody like explain what I just explained to you, and then asked everybody to review it and provide more information with a bunch of chat messages, and also link to some questions I asked Dan Larimer in last week's meeting. I've also been posting the Genesis Fractal meetings publicly on the Eden Creators channel soon. Okay, thank you, Mike. I'll wrap it up in the next like 30 seconds or so. Yep, so I did that, and then I also participated in Chief Delegate meetings where I talk about Fractally, Eden Town Hall where I talk about Fractally, and then Helios Twitter Space where I talked about Fractally, and I wrote about it a bit in the Everything This Week report. And then it also inspired a lot of discussion in the Eden on EOS chat asking about Fractally. So I responded quite a bit to different things to help people understand fractal governance and Eden Fractal and so forth. And I've also just been looking at AI art because it's really cool. And yep, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Who'd you like to pass it to, Dan?
I'll pass it to Jordan.
Well, hello. Well, I'll say that I've been building some AI art just as a transition statement there. I just got a new job, and I'll talk more about it down the road. There's some synergies, but I'm in a research group at like a big company that have hundreds of thousands of employees, and so this process is something that I'm trying to figure out how can be sold to them. And they're a big company that sells these kinds of things to other people. So anyways, that's mostly what I have been doing this week. I'm transitioning to this job, and then in across many different divisions of the research group that I'm in, trying to spread these ideas and just make connections and see what potential there might be. I think it's going to take a little while because it's like a huge company, but yeah. So that's a very different thing than I've mostly been doing, which is like modeling and sort of trying to write blogs and things. Yeah, so I'm very excited to be doing something slightly different, and hopefully they'll all that said, I don't think I spent as much time as I usually do on it, but it's hard to quantify because at any opportunity I was trying to bring up Fractally at work. But anyway, yeah, I think that's that's probably sufficient for me this week. I'm once I get into the groove at this new place, I'll be able to deliver a little bit more consistently. Yeah, okay. So that's for me. I will bump it over to Matthias.
Hello, everyone. I hope my audio is okay. And because I'm also in another room and another location in last 10 minutes, the acoustic here is really bad. Also, sorry for the baby. Yeah, I think I can keep it short because I didn't do anything or wasn't able to do anything for the Genesis Fractal. I'm waiting for the testnet to launch or some docs to get be released to play around with the tech. But yeah, that still takes 1 or 2 weeks, I guess. So I'm just here for voting today. And yeah, last week I didn't participate because I forgot that I'm in another time zone now and didn't notice that for 1 week. And it was 1 hour later than expected. So yeah, but the week before that I was ranked level 3, I guess. So yeah, and with that I'll pass it to Felix.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Matthias. I'm ready now. So, okay, cool.
Hey, it worked.
Yep. When you switch monitors, sometimes it messes up things up in OBS. All right, cool. So my name's Felix. For Paul, I think you're the only one that I haven't met, but so I do YouTube is my thing, or it's gonna become a bigger thing as far as like content creation. Right now, I've been posting a lot of I've been posting all of our online stuff onto my YouTube channel. So the Eden Fractal is like Dan Singjo was saying, is another fractal that's using the same process, but we're experimenting over on EOS and Eden. We do that every Wednesday. So we host these meetings, and I've been posting those. So that's practicing and spreading the fractal process. Also been doing the Eden Town Hall show. And then we've also, like I said, I've been posting the Genesis Fractal meeting. So I just want to share a couple like of the analytics. They're not, crazy numbers, but they're still numbers. Getting about over 1,000 in the last month of views. This is across just the different content I'm posting. I've been posting about EOS, Eden, and Fractally. Some of my top content this past period were some of the Genesis Fractal meetings, as you can see here. This one right here got 86 views and 69 views, 42. And so this is weekly. So this isn't bad. In the past month, I've had over 100 hours of watch time, and my channel is growing. So that's nice. Also, so some of the comments, I've been getting support from, the community. There's been people, thanking me for posting these videos. Some people even backing me for sticking with my guns on some of the more controversial topics that I kind of push back on. So it's nice to get support from the community. Some of the things I've been doing and thinking a lot about has been NFTs. Jordan just talked about AI NFTs, which is cool because that's what these Eden Fractal NFTs were. And so I don't know. I definitely think there's something I mean, obviously NFTs was a craze, but I'm really exploring how to pair this with fractals. And so for the Eden Fractal, for 2 weeks, I gave out NFTs backed by EOS. So this adds TVL. And I like this idea. I'm still, like I said, still exploring different ways to use this, but it's pretty nice because like it's a nice piece of artwork, but then it's also backed by EOS. And then anyone who wants to burn it can claim the EOS, but then there's less in circulation, which then, that adds potentially more value to the NFT itself because now there's less in circulation and that are minted. I'm also the team lead for the Eden Fractal team. I put that together about 2 months ago. The team is the largest fractal team, I guess, out of all the fractal communities, which is super sweet. We've got three of our team members all here on this call, in this meeting room right here. So that's cool. And then also another side thing is I've been working on raising money in the EOS ecosystem to help support funding, and my time is up. So yeah, just basically the idea is to raise money to help support and build out open source tools that are using these ideas to spread the Fractally process. So yep, that's all. And so with that being said, I think Mike, you're the last one to go, so I'll pass it off to you.
Cool, thanks, Felix. I'm running 2 computers, which is why I keep popping out of frame. It's not an ideal setup, but better for my eyes and trying to run the timer. So sorry for being in and out of frame. Yeah, so this week I have been talking about landing pages. We got our chain landing pages in really good shape. All the copy, the graphics, the links were a big deal. Make sure our SEO is reasonable. That is done for one, close to done for the next. So all of that made really good progress this week, which was one of the big things between us and releasing. And then the other major thing is I did some design work on a dev starter pack. Half the team is specifically committed. Let me change my view here. Half the team at least is specifically committed to documentation. We have been around the EOS environment. We know that documentation and just starter, like how do I write a contract? How do I write a basic contract? And then I've written the hello world contract, but how do I build something meaningful, right? How do I build a real contract? We're all very interested in that being easier and a better onboarding experience. So did some really good design work. I think we have some great ideas about how to get that to where we all want to see it. So I kicked that off this week. And that is it for me. I'll stop really early.
Since you're stopping early,
right.
I have a quick question about that last thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, sure.
So I was just wondering if in the smart contract, one of the things that was abstractly, but perhaps not practically, was very attractive about the EOS smart contracts was the Ricardian contracts that were paired with them. And I was just wondering if this is something that like either is imminently or down the road, like something you guys are trying to incorporate.
What a great question. I have, let's see, I got to think about how will I leave you with a useful answer. We have a better solution. The
Sorry,
issue with
cut out for me.
Ricardian. My choppy. Kill my video just in case. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, the X were a poor solution in our estimation. And we measure that purely by how many people actually wrote them. Very, very few devs wrote Ricardian contracts. So as good an idea as it was, there was something missing, that it just wasn't integrated enough. So we have a completely different solution that I would say it's the thing that Dan is most excited to share about the new chain, and that's on a list of exciting things.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I assume that solution that you're talking about is to sort of incorporate the intent of code concepts along with the code, regardless of how it's done.
Yeah, same idea. Basically, same idea as Ricardian, but a better implementation.
Great to hear.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm out of time based on that, but yeah, any other questions? Feel awkward just jumping on. All right, let's go on to consensus. We need 3 people to advance. So raise your hand if you'd like to advance to then round 2.
How does it work? If I think that somebody gave more, then should I still be raising my hand? I mean, just because I'd want to, am I supposed to be factoring in if somebody did more?
So the gist of it is, if we only have 3, then that makes it easy and we can move on to only rating the other 3. If we have more than 3, then what I typically suggest is we just rate everyone in order, and then we know who the top 3 are.
Okay, so I should just, if I would like to go to round 2, I should raise my hand?
Sure.
Okay.
And my video seems pretty choppy, so I'm going to not rely on seeing that your hands are up. Please raise your electronic hand if you'd like to move on to the next round. Okay, so Jordan and Matthias, you are voting to not move on to round 3, correct?
We are here to vote.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, so since we have the 3 of us, Paul, do you want to rank each of us to find out who the top 3 are, or do you feel that you that you are in the running for the top 3?
Well, I feel like you guys did more than me. So does that mean I just take my hand down?
Yeah,
No.
if you're comfortable with that, then that would make the decision easier, but it's not necessary. We can vote everyone in order if you prefer.
Okay, so I would put you third, Felix second, and Dan first.
Okay. Well, if you would vote 3 people above you, then I suggest we take the 3 of us advance, me, Dan, and Felix, and then we only vote on the remaining people.
Okay.
Oh, I just want to also throw out, I think that this is probably reasonable for expediting, but also is this your first meeting, Paul?
Second.
Second, okay. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, like you sort of had seen the scope of like how the ranking works, and if you feel like you want to see that all, you know, you're welcome to, you know.
No, it feels
we can do the whole thing.
No, sure. It feels like as efficient as we can be makes sense. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. I think people should speak up if they feel like something's going the wrong direction. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Paul. The process we're about to do for the next 3 would be what we do for all 6 in the cases where more than 3 people want to advance. So I'm going to drop the header in the chat. And Paul, if working the chat on your phone is a complication, just let us know. We're going to vote level 3. I typically vote 3, 2, 1 so that we all vote at the same time. So does anyone have any questions that they want to ask before they're ready to?
Yeah, I do, because I'm not. So what am I going to put in the chat?
You're going to put the name of the person that you want to be at level 3.
And there's 3 of us. So
there's the person I'm voting the highest rank.
No, so there's 3 people. So me, Felix, and Dan, we've now agreed to advance to the next level. So that's level 6, 5, and 4.
Okay.
So now we're going to rank 3, 2, and 1.
Okay. So I'm putting those in order, like a 3 and then a name, and then a 2 and then a name, and then a 1 and then a name.
Nope, you're going to vote for just who you think should be level 3. We're going to do a 1 level by level.
Okay, and I can vote for myself, I presume.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had a question. You know, I think, you know, Paul, maybe I would be interested in learning a little bit more about your background and experience. You know, because like I think that's important. We you know, what we're doing here is we're trying to gauge also and wanting to incentivize you know, people who I mean, obviously everyone who's here brings value by participating, but then also your outside stuff, what you can bring to the table based off your experience is huge in my opinion too. So if you could touch on that a little bit too, I think that would help with how I'm going to do these rankings.
Sure, I could give the 1-minute version. So my life mission right now is to fix the problem of substance use, mental health, and homelessness. So I founded the only nonprofit opioid treatment program in the United States, and we're focused on a sobriety algorithm app, AI assisted recovery path. So we'll be figuring out how to measure urine drug screen results, medication compliance, and time with therapists, the treatment team. And it'll be rewarded through an NFT that evolves with the client's progress. And so we have a 7,000 square foot building in the quote war zone in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And
We offer things like showers and 3 washing machines, 3 dryers, wash and dry people's clothes. We offer food, we offer clothing. We offer typical cognitive behavioral therapy, yoga, weights, basketball, storage facilities for people's belongings, because 90% of our clients are homeless. So we're trying to innovate and be the laboratory for future evidence-based modalities of healing, and it's state-of-the-art recovery. So our mission is to integrate state-of-the-art technology to disrupt and revolutionize substance use, mental health, and homelessness quote treatment. So I'm the
Awesome.
founder and director of State of the Heart Recovery and Social Impact DAO, and I'm just looking for revolutionary ways to organize resources and make really large scale change.
Sweet. I think there's a lot of potential here with the ƒractal technology of implementing that with what you're doing. That could be game changer. A lot of things I've thought about is that this can be a form of like a UBI, universal basic income, potentially, depending on how much funding's behind it. And if you're in it, I can see ways to implement this to incentivize people who are still are dealing with substance abuse problems. We can incentivize you to work on that, and there's a reward at the end of the day in that community. Like that, those are just some first thoughts, but super excited to have you here. And yeah, glad to know that more about you, and super excited.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I just, as a total side note, for potential future discussions, I work on automated assistance as well, and human AI, human robot teaming as some of my research. So, maybe we can chat later.
I'd love that. Thanks, Jordan.
Paul, you mentioned that you're a founder of State of the Heart Recovery. Is that correct? And then also some DAO. What was the DAO called?
Social Impact DAO.
Okay.
It's on Twitter with a 0 instead of an O on the DAO. So it's at Social Impact DA0 on Twitter.
Okay, cool.
Because DAO was taken.
Cool. And you mentioned that you're thinking about starting a ƒractal too. Did I hear that correctly? And is that related to these?
I want to create a ƒractal for this focus. Yeah. So Dwayne was going to help try to I'm not a great writer, and I'm also don't have any coding tech background. So I really come with a lot of from the mental health standpoint and from in real life, like an agency, and we have hundreds of clients that come in the door on a daily basis. But tech wise, I'm just kind of I know very little. So I love blockchain. I love the impact that tech is having on us as a human beings, but as far as getting into the weeds of understanding how long things take and how much they cost and how to get there, kind of clueless.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, thanks so much, Paul, for joining us and then sharing so much enthusiasm and learning and sharing your story. And I think that's awesome, the things you're working on. And there's lots of people in the community that have different skill sets, and we're all working together with this collaboration. So, and there's lots of people who can help you out with the technical side, and I'm happy to also I'm happy and looking forward to working with you more and learning more about your work in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome.
We've
all right, guys, any other questions before we get back to the consensus report?
Yes, we've still got 16 minutes left, so I'm also curious to learn a bit more about what Matthias and Jordan are up to. So one, Matthias, we talked a lot about Zeos ƒractal, and it's a really exciting initiative that you're doing, but I haven't heard an update in the past, I guess, couple of weeks. So I'm just wondering, have you been working on that, and if so, how's it coming along?
Yes, I'm still working on this, but it's just that the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm really super busy with, my real life stuff. My daughter will be born any day now, so we had to transfer and prepare for this. Thanks. And yeah, it's just super chaotic again with me here. Then there's hurricane season where we just moved. I wasn't really aware of that. That just hit last week. And there's another one in a few days. So I don't know, there's just so much stuff. So I'm finalizing my Zeos design, and I ran into another EOS IO issue. I'm gonna update you, Mike, on that soon. I wanted to message you already, but I cannot even catch up with that at the moment. So sorry that I'm a little bit quiet the last weeks. It's related to, some real world issues here with me, but that's also gonna become better. I don't know, like in 1 or 2 weeks, yeah, depending on when the baby is born, and then after that it's a little bit more relaxed. But that's just my main focus right now, and getting the mainnet app done, yeah, on EOS finally. That's really also the final stages right now. I'm very much focused on that. So yeah, and I thought a lot about the private fractal. I also hope that I will be able to join the Eden fractal again on Wednesday. Again, last week I didn't even notice that I'm 1 hour later here with all my stuff. Took me 5 days to realize this. And this was the reason why I also was totally off last weekend with the fractal meeting here. But yeah, I will send you some updates about this soon. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Cool, awesome, Matthias. Thank you. Thank you for sharing the update, and thanks for joining too. It's great to see you again. By the way, well, first off, congratulations on the new baby. That's awesome, and I hope that the move and everything is going well. And I'm wishing you the best with the Zeos development. And yeah, feel free to reach out whenever if you want, whenever you want help with any of that stuff as Zeos Fractal. And then also, like a week or two ago, you shared a lot of ideas, and there's interesting discussion in the Fractal Telegram group about pseudonymous fractals and privacy and so forth. I think Jordan also shared some interesting ideas, and James Martin, a few other people, if I remember. And I wrote down a bunch of notes, and I was planning to share it, but I never got to it. But at some point, I'm looking forward to discussing that more with you as well, too, because I think that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I can share a tiny bit just to give some context. I've been also because of real life things super busy and not able to actually sort of post or share some of the stuff I've been working on. But I'm still slowly chugging away on this agent-based model simulation of Fractally. I was actually invited to give a talk at the Computational Social Science Society of America in January for that. And it's an open invitation, so but I can do it when it's most convenient for me and all of us. And yeah, I'm on the verge of publishing a few blogs, but I haven't gotten around to actually feeling like they're really done. And I haven't had the time quite yet to finish them. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Cool. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I think it's one of the first times we've had a room together, so it's a pleasure. I think we've spoken a bit before, but it's a pleasure to speak with you here. And I'm a really big fan of a lot of the work you've done in the past, and I'm looking forward to seeing those blogs, and then also hearing more about what you're doing with the AI art and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel similarly. I very much appreciate your efforts in the community.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is a tough one with the bottom three. I'm also almost want to kind of I don't know, experiment and abstain from voting and kind of see how the three of you would like to rank each other, and then I could add my vote in afterwards. But I'm kind of like stuck because I think I value all of you guys, but I also kind of want to see where you guys feel you guys want to be as well, and then I want to take that into consideration before I submit my vote, because right now it's a toss up between all three of you guys for this week.
Yeah, and since Paul, you're relatively new, I want to reiterate, I should have done this earlier as well, the mission statement of the Fractal, how we're making these evaluations and how we do the ranking is according to the mission statement. So I'll read it for you here. The Genesis Fractal seeks to build the technology, raise awareness, and grow adoption of fractal governance as outlined in Fractally's white paper. So that's the mission we're evaluating people against, or their contributions against. So does everybody want to run that experiment along with Felix? We'll let these three guys vote first.
I'm happy to if Paul and Jordan and Matthias would like to. I also don't want to put too much pressure on them if they don't want to and they want us to outvote. I'm also in the same boat as Felix. Like I don't know. It's quite difficult because you guys are all doing awesome work. So I'm happy to go either way.
I hope it's not too noisy. Yeah, there's a construction here on the roof on the side. So I just want to make the case for Paul real quick, because I heard in the previous talks that he also invited someone already, his brother, I guess. And yeah, just to keep him motivated, I think also it's good to get rated, you know, rather high in the first 1 or 2 meetings maybe. So I'd happy to have him on rank 3. Just
Well,
my 2
that's
cents.
convenient because I was going to make the same argument. So let's see what the 3 of us decide now.
All right. So I'll count down 3, 2, 1, and then you drop a name in the chat for level 3. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Oh, you sent
Paul.
Paul, you sent your vote to me. Just send it to everyone else. Not that it's going to change the result.
Yeah. Make sure you have everyone selected when you chat.
Oh, well, do you want, Paul's muted, but
Yeah, we know it's Paul, so we'll go with it. But for each vote, you'll want to make sure you have that button say everyone, so that we can all see your votes.
yeah, the blue drop down.
And I assume the other 3 of us are completely aligned with that vote. Anybody want to object? Okay, assumption stands. Let's move on to level 2. So the 3 of you will again vote, I suppose. Everybody ready with a name? 3, 2.
By the way, Paul's muted for a while now. I keep seeing you trying to speak.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix that. It's showing to everybody. So I press more, and then do I just press chat, or is there somewhere else where I show that it's for everybody?
Within chat, there'll be an option to select who you're chatting. I don't remember the mobile layout perfectly, but I think it's at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it says to everyone or to like Jordan or something like that. It should say.
And if it makes it easier though, too,
to everyone.
Send to, okay, send to, now I got it to everyone. Okay, sorry, you guys.
No problem.
Okay.
All right, so who do you want to vote for level 2? All right. Matthias, are you willing to align with the vote for you?
Yes. I try to keep my mic off most of the time. It's really so noisy here.
It's not really that noisy. There's like a little bit of noise that I can hear through your thing, but it's pretty quiet though.
All right, so that makes this the vote, the consensus report. Please verify the spelling of your name and the order.
As long as all the other of you are cool with the result. I don't know, and you were cool with us voting, and I don't know if that implied that you were also definitely cool with the result and didn't want to jump in and also vote. But yeah, because this adds a lot of complexity actually doing it this way.
Yeah, I guess that's a critical thing. On the last 2, does anyone disagree with what the consensus report is enough to do a full vote? I'm happy to go back and redo a full vote.
Yeah, I'm fine with those results. I think for this type of scenario, kind of my thinking is, because I don't know, I guess it'll be different, right? When we have where you can drag and drop, but we can talk through this, right? So we can be, my thinking is like, yeah, I confirmed along each way, because like I like to see that that's what it was. But there may be a time that, you know, the 3 of us would, if this happens again in another scenario, where we would have to discuss, because maybe there is no consensus reached between the 3. And so it's interesting, but that's kind of my thinking is I have no dispute. I liked that it was reached amongst the 3, that I had a hard time doing a toss up, and everything was justified from how they were, you know, how they reached consensus, in my opinion.
Right. All right. Great.
Yeah.
If no other.
I was going to add that it's good with me too. I mean, Yeah, I already pretty much said it basically, but you guys are all doing awesome work and it was difficult, and so I could have gone either way. I mean, but I also do want to say again, just like Jordan, I really appreciate all the work you're doing too. So, but yeah, I guess I don't really have anything to add, but so I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good with the order too. I just wanted to, just for the sake of the fact that we changed the process, and this change is, I'll say it after, but like this change is an interesting idea, and I think it intersects with one of the blogs that I'm working on in concept. So I can mention that after we actually finish voting, perhaps.
Cool. Sounds
All
good.
right,
Yeah.
so if we're aligned, please check order and spelling of your usernames. FYI, Paul, in case you hadn't heard this your last meeting, the first three who are going to advance to the next meeting, we just put them in alphabetical order. And here's the post. Oh, Felix beat me by like a second.
I got you.
There's a link to vote. Please submit that in Hive as a reply to that post. And
Are
if
you
wouldn't
asking
mind,
Are you asking that I do something with that, or it's been done already?
we want you to submit that on Hive in response to this post. We want
okay. So I'm going to click on that now.
Yep, you're going to click on that and you're going to reply with this list of names, which I'll post again.
Got it. I see the list. Yep.
Cool. And then if you guys wouldn't mind, please say your name once Hive has accepted your consensus report.
My name.
See, this is why we do this. Was that Jordan? Okay.
Yes, my name too, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's posted as well.
All right, Mike's. Who was the last one? Was that Felix?
So it says I've never put something in Hive before, but I've got disable side-by-side editor, enable visual editor. I'm just pressing the pencil up there.
No, the pencil is compose. Once you click that link at the bottom of the body of that post, bottom right of that post, there'll be a reply link.
Yeah, it should be right underneath the last line, which says consensus comments not posted immediately after each round may not be counted. And there's like a whole bunch of those things with the reply, a button at the bottom right.
Yeah, you can see my screen too. It says it actually. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I think I did it. Looks like it's still yeah, I think I did it now.
Yeah, it
11
looks like you
seconds ago.
replied to another comment, but I think that works, right?
Yeah, I think that'll work fine. Yeah, if you reply, you have to make sure you're replying to something, and the reply closest to the top is replying to the post. You can also reply to comments, and it looks like you replied to a comment. Not the end of the world, but just FYI.
I got it. So right up there where it says 1 hour ago and practically by Jay Seymour, that's where I should have pressed the reply.
Yep.
Exactly.
I got it. Okay. Should I do it there now?
I actually don't know what would be better for this script.
I'll just do it.
I would say do it. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Can I just mention one quick thing, which because I think this is a very interesting ad hoc way that we did this this time, and I have to think about it more and how potentially to allow for this in a way that doesn't add confusion or extra bias. But one of the posts that I'm working on is to do with sort of trying to make the case that it can be very valuable to keep our rankings of each other independent for some phase of this, like while we're presenting to each other, for example, so that we don't influence each other and like create like a groupthink poll too early, right? And so that this process that we just used potentially has benefits, but it also has the potential of we've just exposed what like half the group thinks, and now the other half gets to sort of perhaps unconsciously be influenced by the way that went. And again, there are benefits to this, but there are also potential issues that could arise depending on how many people are doing it and how they're doing it. And so anyways, I'll hopefully clarify a little bit more of some of the value of that, of keeping things independent in the post. But yeah, this was a great experiment. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, that's sweet, Jordan. I think, see, I like to add appreciation for what you bring to the table also by just saying it like that itself, like the fact that you're able to come up with like, you know, potential problems or like the way you're already like formulating what just happened here and the potential like bias and potential and then like, and you write those, you know, you're writing these thoughts out. So I think like, you know, your contributions are super valuable as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Agreed.
Yeah, Jordan,
Thanks,
when to
everyone.
allow ranking after that period?
These guys we have here today somehow related to the former Venezuelan president?
No, nope. I'm not related to anybody that famous.
No, yeah, a lot of us Chavez's out there.
All right, I'm going to put the link again to the Hive blog post in case you need that. That's where you can comment your consensus result. And in a few moments, I'm going to put the link to the next Zoom room. So if you're moving on to round 2 today, you're going to click on this link that I'll put in the chat, and the other room is already open. So you should be able to just join. I'm going to make someone else a host here. So if you want to raise your hand, if you're not moving on to round 2 today and you want to stick around, I'll make you host of this Zoom meeting room so people can continue here. Chris, are you raising your hand to be host? All right, cool. Very good. And anyone else want to help Chris? Feel free to raise your hand. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to say, just a reminder to everybody, Josh is doing a lot of good work leading these meetings and a lot of work in between meetings, obviously, during the week. As you post your consensus on the Hive post each week, I encourage you to also upvote his post at the top of the page, just to show a little bit more respect and help him earn even on the Hive.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Also, I guess it actually helps give a little more visibility to what we're doing, and there are some links in these posts. So if somebody does find this on Hive, and maybe if anyone's active on Hive, they can let us know if this ever shows up in their feed. But people might find out about what we're doing. So it is just kind of an extra thing we can all do. All right, so make sure you've commented your consensus results. The link is in the chat if you need that. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the link. And if you're moving on to round 2, you're going to click this link that I'm going to put in the chat here in just a moment. And I'll see you over on the other Zoom room. We need some elevator music. All right, so that is the other link. I'm going to go ahead and hop over there. Chris, you're going to be the host. I think you can make other people co-host if you need. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add before we hop over there. I mean, this is just a suggestion. I think it would be nice to have a little post discussion before we break off in already, but I also don't want to deter any pre-plans or anything, but it's just a suggestion. I think it is nice like over on the Eden Fractal, usually after we have our breakout rooms, we discuss a little bit of like, you know, things that happened in our breakout rooms, and it's good for conversation. And then that also may help, you know, moving into the second round, but then also keeping the community that's staying in this Zoom room, like additional conversation to feed on.
Yeah,
I have something to share.
That's a
I
good
have
point.
something to share if you ask me. So that was a very nice breakout room. I was with Stan Larimer, the only one. I was with Amy Hines. I was with Carlos, I don't remember, Gonflosca, yeah. And I was with, sorry, I am excited. I was with, checking my message. I was with Shakruz, very interesting project that he has with Uzbekistan. He's creating something huge there with a ƒractal process. He will explain better than me. So we have shared a good conversation, good project. Also with Amy as something new behind the doors coming. We spoke about ƒractal on orbit with Stan Larimer. Yeah, that was very interesting. And I am very happy to be here this Saturday. I am taking more information, and it is all what is about. Does ƒractal stand-up meeting is to take more info, more data, and create something beautiful that you have maybe never imagined. So, and continue the experiment. So, yeah, baby, that was nice. Be happy.
Carlos, you have your hand up. I think, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'd like to share that we had a great conversation in our room.
The sound is not good.
And a lot of artists also there. We had CAC and others. Yeah. Myself with my phone soon coming. So the point I wanted to share is to propose this idea of making this knowledge of the ƒractal as a game. So we have, let me see if it's my network. Well, if we could have with Dwayne and CAC, some others, a team, so we could create all these knowledge, these concepts